The workshop aboard the diplomatic station hummed with the quiet efficiency of advanced alien technology, but James Morrison barely noticed the ambient sounds as he hunched over his workbench. Before him lay the intricate chest piece of Keltharian, battle armor, its biometallic surface gleaming under the harsh work lights. The armor belonged to Ambassador Mino Keth-Ra, though she insisted he call her simply Mino. "Your species has such delicate hands," she observed from where she stood nearby, her tall, graceful form casting a shadow across his workspace. The Keltharians were humanoid but distinctly alien. Their skin held a subtle iridescence that shifted between deep blue and silver, and their eyes were larger than human eyes, with pupils that contracted to mere slits in bright light. James didn't look up from his work, his fingers dancing across the armor's surface as he traced the hairline fractures in the biometal. Delicate, maybe, but precise. That's what happens when your species spends millennia working with tools, instead of relying on natural weapons. He could feel her watching him, studying his movements with the intense curiosity that had marked their interactions since the peace negotiations began 3 months ago. The Keltharian Empire and the human coalition had been locked in a Cold War for decades, each side viewing the other with suspicion and barely contained hostility. But Mino was different from the other Keltharian diplomats. She seemed genuinely fascinated by human ingenuity rather than dismissive of it. "The armor's biomatrix is fascinating," James continued, adjusting his micro-welder to match the material's molecular frequency. "It's like it's alive, responding to damage by trying to heal itself. But whoever designed this didn't account for kinetic weapons. The impact shattered the lattice structure in ways your people's energy weapons never could." Mino moved closer, close enough that he could smell the subtle metallic scent that all Keltharians carried. "The armor served me well in the battle against the hegemony raiders. Without it, I would have been killed and these peace talks would never have happened." James paused in his work, finally looking up at her. "You really think this treaty will work, after everything our peoples have done to each other?" Her large eyes studied his face with an intensity that made him slightly uncomfortable. "I think," she said slowly, "that humans are more remarkable than my people give them credit for. Your species takes broken things and makes them whole again. You see solutions where others see only problems." "That's survival instinct," James replied, returning his attention to the armor. "When you're outgunned and outnumbered in every conflict, you learn to be resourceful, or you die." The biometal began to respond to his ministrations, the fractured edges slowly knitting together as he guided the repair process. It was delicate work. Too much heat and the living metal would die, too little and the bonds wouldn't form properly. He found himself holding his breath as he worked, completely absorbed in the task. "There," Mino said softly, and he realized she had moved even closer, now standing directly behind him. He could feel the warmth of her presence at his back. "That expression on your face, it's the same one you wore when you solved the translation matrix problem that was stumping our linguists. Pure focus, as if nothing else in the universe exists." James felt a flush of heat rise in his cheeks. I like fixing things, always have." "Go on," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Don't stop." He wasn't sure if she meant the armor repair or something else entirely, but he continued working, hyper-aware of her proximity. The biometal was responding beautifully now, the living tissue regenerating along the paths he had prepared. It was almost like performing surgery on a living creature. "How do you do it?" Mino asked. "How do you understand the needs of something so foreign to your own biology?" James set down his tools and straightened, finally turning to face her. She was closer than he had realized, close enough that he had to look up slightly to meet her eyes. "Maybe because I don't see it as foreign. Life is life, whether it's carbon-based or biometallic. Everything wants to survive, to heal, to become whole again." Something flickered in her large eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or recognition. "Is that what you see when you look at the gap between our peoples? Something that can be healed?" "I see two civilizations that have forgotten how much they could accomplish together instead of apart," James said honestly. "Your people have mastery over living technology that we can barely comprehend. My people have a talent for adaptation and innovation that your society's rigid structure doesn't encourage. Imagine what we could build together." Mino reached out with one long, graceful finger and touched the repaired section of armor. Where her finger made contact, the biometal brightened, its surface rippling like water. The armor recognizes the repair as part of itself now. It will be stronger at this point than it was before the damage. "Sometimes," James said quietly, "the broken places become the strongest ones once they're properly healed." She looked at him for a long moment, and he saw something shift in her expression. "Perhaps you are right, James Morrison. Perhaps what our peoples need is not just a treaty, but someone willing to repair the broken places between us." The armor lay between them on the workbench, gleaming and whole, a testament to what could be accomplished when different forms of knowledge came together. James realized that this moment, this simple act of repair, might be remembered as the beginning of something much larger than either of them had imagined. In the distance, the station's bells chimed the hour, calling them back to the formal negotiations. But for now, in the quiet hum of the workshop, two representatives of different worlds had found common ground in the universal desire to make broken things whole again.